The moment Diddy saw 50 Cent walk into that courtroom, his face said it all. Eyes wide, jaw clenched, hands trembling under the table. This wasn't the calm, collected music mogul the world had known for decades. By the third day of trial, witnesses reported that Diddy completely lost his composure when 50 Cent openly declared his support for Cassie. What happened next stunned everyone in the courtroom and might just change the entire direction of the case.
One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent.
He would do a lot of foul shit, like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit, like.
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said.
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 19th.
That's why he says things. He doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says something fabulous and he goes, yo, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party. What is he talking about? That's the kind of stuff that when people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to a girl.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day?
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal.
Sean Diddy Combs built an empire on image control. For 30 years, we watched him walk red carpets with a perfect smile, tough interviews without breaking a sweat, and navigate public scandals without ever losing his cool. His reputation was built on being the unshakable music mogul who remained composed no matter what. Remember that 2017 interview when a reporter brought up rumors of payoffs to former employees? He simply smiled, adjusted his suit jacket, and smoothly changed the subject without missing a beat. Or the time his restaurant venture collapsed in 2012, and he still showed up to the closing night party acting like it was all part of some master plan. That was classic Diddy, never letting anyone see him sweat. His team worked hard to preserve that flawless image, with sources revealing he employed a 12-person staff solely to manage his public appearance. From rehearsed responses to practiced facial expressions, everything about Diddy in public was calculated. One former assistant said he would spend hours in front of a mirror practicing interview answers, and even hired a special media trainer who created high-pressure scenarios to test his composures. But behind those designer sunglasses, a different story brewed. Former employees whispered for years about his rage issues. There were two Diddys. A former Bad Boy Records staffer told me off the record. The smooth operator, the public. Saw, and the man who threw phones at walls when things didn't go his way. These stories never stuck because no one with real power ever confirmed them. The first cracks in his perfect image started appearing just days before the trial. Photographers caught him snapping at a fan outside his lawyer's office, and during a tense pre-trial press conference, he gripped the podium so hard his knuckles turned white. Small details, but for a man who spent millions on image control, they were revealing. PR crisis manager Tanya Rodriguez explained that celebrities like Diddy build personas like fortress walls, but under enough pressure, those walls crack, and once they do, the entire structure can collapse fast. That's exactly what happened on day 3 of the trial. According to multiple courtroom witnesses, Diddy's carefully constructed mask completely fell apart. Court reporter Marcus Jenkins said Diddy was physically shaking when certain pieces of evidence were presented, his leg bouncing so hard it moved the defense table. He interrupted his own lawyer 3 times, each time louder, until the judge had to step in. The breaking point came when he suddenly shouted during testimony, prompting Judge Harmon to warn him that another outburst would lead to contempt charges. Observers described his face as twisted with anger, something the public had never seen in 3 decades. Just as it seemed he might regain control, the courtroom doors opened and in walked the one person he never expected to see siding with. His accuser, his longtime industry rival, someone with a grudge and the power to make life extremely difficult. The moment 50 Cent stepped into that courtroom, witnesses say Diddy's face went completely pale.
And it turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this. The other end of that, every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type of people that are controlling the industry, the attacks that people face from the media if they try to speak out, is always the same. They're called crazy. And an example of one such individual who went through those sorts of attacks is the actor Orlando Brown. He was on Disney, and I remember everyone telling us that he was totally insane and deranged when he was saying a lot of things that at the time sounded crazy, particularly about Diddy. Take a listen.
The requirement is you gotta say no to Diddy. If it's new booty in the building, you know he gonna get it.
Don't take your girlfriend to a Diddy party.
You can take the but he won't you.
Diddy, to me, is the fall guy. We are still seeing a major effort to protect the big names, just like with Jeffrey Epstein.
Tell him the story.
Tell him the story. So we talking about rumors, right?
Yeah.
And we, when you Google his name, there's a rumor that pops up that he was Diddy's boy toy.
Oh shit!
Right?
Wait, so this is
so Charlamagne said
it's not true, but I told after he brought up the stuff with you, I said, you know what 50 gonna say when he meets you?
Oh no, I don't know that was going on.
You know,
I can't wait to run into him again.
See, what you gonna say to him?
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
You know what 50 gonna say to you when he sees you? What? I heard Diddy touch your butt.
Yeah. Wait till I see him. Wait till I see him. I'm like, yo. Yeah.
What's happening with Puffy? I know you're not really tapped in, but what is it?
The last thing I saw was like a guy there. He was like, yo, he like pushed me into the truck. It really hurt. And he sounded me. Like he sounded me. I was like, yo, look. I could find other things to do for money. Did you see
The rivalry between 50 Cent and Diddy goes back nearly 2 decades, and it's never been just a cold war. They've actively targeted each other since the early 2000s. 50 Cent has never held back, openly calling out Diddy in radio interviews, on talk shows, and especially on social media. Who could forget when 50 accused Diddy of having knowledge about Biggie's murder, or the countless times he publicly questioned Diddy's sexuality? This wasn't ordinary rap beef, this was deeply personal. So when 50 Cent walked into that courtroom on day 3, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit and his signature sunglasses, the entire room went still. Court reporter Janelle Martin said the silence was so intense you could hear phones vibrating in people's pockets. Diddy, mid-whisper with his attorney, froze. His head jerked up, and according to 3 separate witnesses, his expression shifted from confusion to shock to something dangerously close to fear no one had expected 50 to actually appear in person. Sure, he had been trolling Diddy online ever since Cassie filed her lawsuit. Just last month, he posted a hotel surveillance clip that allegedly showed Diddy assaulting Cassie in 2016, captioned, "Money can't hide who you really are," which racked up over 12 million views. He followed it with a string of Instagram posts hinting at more damaging receipts. What the public didn't know was that 50 had been in contact with Cassie's legal team for weeks. A source close to the case told me that 50's team reached out shortly after the lawsuit was filed, offering full support because he believed her story and wanted to help. According to that source, 50 has always played the long game when it comes to enemies. The moment he took a seat in the courtroom's back row, the energy shifted dramatically. Heads turned like spectators at a tennis match, bouncing between him and Diddy. Though Diddy tried to keep his eyes on his lawyer's notes, courtroom sketches showed him repeatedly glancing over his shoulder. Then came the real shock. During the lunch recess, 50 stepped outside to a swarm of reporters and made a statement that set social media on fire. He didn't just voice support for Cassie, he announced he was personally funding additional legal support for her case through his Junity Foundation. "I'm putting money behind making sure survivors get heard," he told reporters, "and I'm going to help more women come forward with their stories about powerful men in this industry." He even added, "This isn't about me and Diddy's history. This is about right and wrong." The moment this reached Diddy inside the courtroom, his reaction was immediate and violent. He slammed his fist on the defense table with such force that his water glass spilled. His attorney rushed to calm him, but he was visibly trembling, and court security moved closer to his side of the room. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just as emotions peaked, the prosecution announced the introduction of new evidence. Evidence they claimed would prove Diddy had lied under oath. What appeared on the courtroom screens next left every single person in that room stunned beyond words.
He would do a lot of foul shit. Like behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit. Like hating on, like, doing things with people I done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
I was like, yeah, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it. So they want the girls after you're done with them and shit.
Yeah, leftovers.
Yeah.
You take your leftovers. A lot of niggas have more leftovers.
This was not offended by what I was offended by. This is
wow, they found Kendrick and Whiteface.
You know, that's obviously doing shopping. They got the same outfit.
Yeah, it's true.
In public.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt. Though. It's a nice shirt. All right, so when he said the shopping line in real life, what did you say?
I said, let me get away from him. Because it was like, he was like, yo, you hot now. Now we got to hang out now. Like, you know, like hang out.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, maybe I'll take you shopping and I get you some flash and you could give me the hood shit. And I was looking and I was like, let me just move away from him because I'm going to mess up the wedding. I always say to myself, like,
it was someone's wedding?
It was Chris Lighty's wedding. He's in Miami. Nori's there. Nori knows this because I looked at him like, yo.
The courtroom was already thick with tension after 50 Cent's surprise appearance, and you could practically feel the air crackling as everyone braced for what would come next. The prosecution team wore that unmistakable look, calm but confident, as if they knew they were about to drop a bomb. Your Honor, we'd like to present evidence item 47B, the lead prosecutor announced. Confusion swept through the defense. Table. According to a source in the room, Diddy's lead attorney immediately objected, stating, Your Honor, we haven't been provided with any item labeled 47B in discovery. That's when it became clear something entirely unexpected was unfolding. The judge called both legal teams to the bench, and for nearly 5 tense minutes, they huddled in whispered conversation, while Diddy sat alone at the defense table, repeatedly, glancing back at 50 Cent, who remained still in the back row. The courtroom artist later noted that Diddy had begun cracking his knuckles one by one, a nervous habit she observed only when the pressure mounted. When the attorneys returned to their seats, Diddy's lawyer looked visibly deflated. The judge turned to the jury and said, "The court will allow this evidence as it was only discovered yesterday." Then came the reveal. The prosecutor explained they had obtained newly surfaced security footage from Diddy's Miami residence, dated April 2018. As the courtroom screens lit up, everything changed. The footage showed what appeared to be Diddy and Cassie in a hallway. Though it was silent, the body language spoke volumes. Diddy was clearly yelling and pointing, backing Cassie against a wall. Then came the moment that left the courtroom in stunned silence. Diddy grabbed Cassie by the shoulders, shook her violently, and shoved her to the ground. Audible gasps filled the room. Diddy jumped to his feet so quickly his chair toppled backward. "That's not what happened," he shouted until his attorney physically pulled him back down. The lawyer urgently whispered in his ear, but Diddy's composure was gone. His eyes were wild, his breathing erratic, and a court officer moved. Closer to the defense table, what made the footage especially devastating was not just the violence it showed, but the fact that just one day earlier, Diddy had testified under oath, "I have never in any instance physically assaulted Ms. Ventura, or any woman." He had gone further, saying, "There are no videos or evidence of such behavior because it never occurred." The prosecutor pointed directly to this contradiction, and as they did, Diddy visibly unraveled, shaking his head, muttering under his breath, and eventually lowering his head onto the table. His attorney requested a recess, but the judge denied it, stating, "We will continue with the proceedings. Mr. Combs needs to maintain his composure." A bailiff later told reporters he'd never seen a defendant's demeanor change so completely. In a single court session, it was like watching someone transform in real time, he said. By the end of the day, the shockwaves had already reached Hollywood. Celebrities and insiders were texting, group chats were buzzing, and people started questioning their loyalties. The carefully guarded silence around Diddy's behavior was beginning to collapse just as quickly as his image in that courtroom, and no one could have predicted how fast his famous allies would begin to distance themselves.
I feel like all these years, you've been the only one calling this out.
I look like I've been the crazy guy for a long time.
They said you're a hater. They said you're crazy.
You do this, yeah, and now everybody's complaining. My ass is hurting. There's all this shit that's coming.
50, you can't make jokes about it.
No.
The internet might come for you, bro.
All I'm saying is,
it might come from you.
You see it now. All of these complaints. People were damned. They were and pillaged. This was what was going on, right? And what do I get for I went through years of a hater. You're a hater. You want this and that. I'm just watching. Like, I look at things and go, when you see the new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay, I go, oh shoot, like. Then I think about it, I go, that had to be there. So when I was saying that he was missing, he just wasn't actively being out there because they was dealing with that.
Wait, do you think there's truth to the Jay thing? There's no way.
Know, like that, look, like if you say, I have this thing where I'm conflicted when it takes you 20 years to remember something happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I go, oh, so 10 years, 20 years later, that comes back. And it's like all of Puff's problems are coming from the ministers touching little boys.
What you mean?
The laws are the way they are because
because of the priests.
The priests touching little boys.
Oh.
Before the trial began, celebrities stood firmly behind Diddy. His star-studded circle of friends attended his lavish parties, collaborated on hit songs, and defended him when rumors surfaced. In Hollywood, he was a kingmaker, someone you didn't cross if you valued your career. That all changed after day 3 of the trial. The footage of Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie, combined with his public courtroom breakdown, broke the unspoken industry silence. But it wasn't just the video that shifted the tide. The real catalyst was 50 Cent. By openly supporting Cassie, 50 gave others the courage to choose a side. An industry insider told me, once 50 backed her, people suddenly felt safe to show support without being the first to speak out. And that's exactly what happened. Within hours of 50's dramatic courthouse appearance, the entertainment world split into clear camps. The social media fallout was immediate. Usher, a longtime collaborator, quietly unfollowed Diddy on Instagram. Mary J. Blige, once one of his closest allies, did the same. Justin Bieber not only unfollowed him, but deleted every photo of them together. These weren't coincidences. They were deliberate moves to distance themselves. Cryptic posts soon followed. Lizzo posted the words, "Believe women," with no context. The Weeknd shared a black screen that read, "Power doesn't equal truth." Even Drake, who rarely engages in industry scandals, wrote, "The truth always surfaces eventually." Some celebrities went even further. Cardi B went live on Instagram and said, "I've seen this kind of behavior for years. We need to stop protecting abusers just because they have money." She never mentioned Diddy by name, but no one had to guess who she was talking about. The most telling indicator of Diddy's fall? His phone calls stopped being returned. Member of his management team revealed that several A-listers who used to take his calls instantly are now screening them. He's called Rihanna 6 times since the video surfaced. She hasn't answered once. My source confirmed similar stories about Beyonce and Jay-Z, who have refused repeated requests from Diddy's team to release statements of support. Meanwhile, support for Cassie continues to grow. Female artists who once worked with Diddy are reaching out to her legal team, offering to testify about their own experiences. Even celebrities who usually stay silent on legal matters are speaking out. Lady Gaga reportedly sent Cassie flowers with a handwritten note that said, "I believe you." A source close to Cassie told me that just 1 week ago, this kind of support seemed impossible. Diddy's grip on the industry was so strong that even whispering his name in a negative light could cost someone their career. Now, the balance of power has completely shifted. With every hour that passes, more celebrities are abandoning his sinking ship. But the most explosive moment hadn't even happened yet, because as the evidence piled up and allies turned away, Diddy's already. Fragile composure would soon collapse in a courtroom outburst so intense that it left everyone, including the judge, in stunned silence.
How much is this guy trying to get?
I don't know. Like, it's a simple suit situation, but it's like
20 mil. I can say it.
You still have the blackest face out. You still have to mimic his voice because he's like,
but his
damn.
voice wasn't even that different.
And a little deeper. I was like, almost like, no, that's you, young buck.
Yo,
I almost felt like it was him. I almost knew who it was. You know what I mean? I was like, nah. You heard what he just said, right? He's like, yo, certain things they let it go by because it's Puff. Like they would look, like he would say stuff, and it's like he wasn't like in the closet, he was like in the hallway. Now you see so much shit that you go, wait. No, this was visible.
He was in the hallway. We saw the video.
You saw that video. It comes out later. You're like, that's not the closet. That's the hallway. He didn't give a fuck. Like you could tell that he was already.
Nah, New Yorkers know. Because when Fab, he was like, "Yo, Fab, we ain't party." Fab was like, "Nah, we partying tonight."
He's like, no, like, but he didn't party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, they let that one go. Like, I had to say something about it later because I was like, oh, it was.
The courtroom was packed. Reporters lined the back, celebrities whispered in corners, and 50 Cent, still sitting silently, arms crossed, didn't flinch once. Diddy, however, had been unraveling all morning. Court clerk Melissa Johnson told me he kept whispering louder and louder to his lawyers. His leg bounced non-stop. He tugged at his tie, loosened it, then tightened it again. Classic signs of a man about to blow. At 2:30 p.m., Cassie took the stand, calm, focused. She made eye contact with the jury and began detailing a 2019 incident. He said he made me, and he could destroy me just as easily, she testified. Diddy was already shaking his head. His attorney touched his arm, trying to steady him, but it wasn't working. Court reporter Damon Williams said the judge even passed a handwritten warning to Diddy's lawyer, but it was too late. Cassie described a 2018 party at Diddy's Hampton house. She said he locked her in a bedroom for 2 days after seeing her speak to another music executive. That's when everything snapped. Diddy's eyes bulged, his jaw clenched. A vein pulsed on his forehead. He suddenly stood up. His lawyer grabbed at his jacket, whispering, "Sit down." But Diddy erupted. "That's all lies," he shouted, finger pointed directly at Cassie. "You know what you did." The courtroom froze. Even the court reporter stopped typing. Cassie didn't flinch. She kept her eyes forward, but Diddy wasn't done. He turned toward the back, locked eyes with 50 Cent. "And you," he yelled, "you'll regret getting involved in this." Court security surged forward. 2 guards blocked him from the witness stand. Another stood behind his chair. Harmon banged her gavel 3 times. "Mr. Combs, control yourself. One more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt." Diddy's attorney tried to request a recess. The judge shut it down. "Sit down, counsel. We're continuing." The crowd couldn't believe it. Diddy, the man who built his brand on cool composure, was completely losing it in front of the world. One juror began furiously scribbling notes. Not good for the defense. Through it all, Cassie never lost her composure. She sipped her water and kept testifying. Later, her lawyer told reporters, she's finally confident. People like 50 are standing behind her. That's changed everything. And 50's response to Diddy's threat? A slow smile, a deliberate nod, like he was exactly where he wanted to be. The power balance had shifted permanently. Diddy's defense team broke into crisis mode that evening. Their entire strategy, paint him as a calm, reasonable businessman, was toast. A legal insider told me they were rewriting everything overnight. Their new plan, play the victim. By morning, they'd filed a desperate mistrial motion claiming 50's presence provoked Diddy and created a biased environment. They even attached screenshots of 50's posts as evidence. The judge denied it within hours. Her ruling: Mr. Combs' behavior is his responsibility alone. Diddy's team scrambled to shift strategies. Now they were suddenly admitting to some of Cassie's claims while painting him as passionate but misunderstood. A total 180. Meanwhile, Cassie's legal team was on a fence. Her attorney requested 3 new witnesses, people who'd previously declined to testify but came forward after watching Diddy's meltdown. They include a former security guard and 2 assistants with first-hand stories about Diddy's alleged behavior. And 50, he kept the pressure on. He's posted 7 times since the outburst, each one sharper than the last. His latest, a split screen of Diddy yelling in court next to the infamous footage, with the caption, "Actions speak louder than lawyers." It racked up 3 million likes in 6 hours. He's also announced a new docuseries, Music Industry Secrets. Insiders say it's aimed directly at Diddy, but the most unexpected transformation? Cassie herself. Observers said she returned to the stand different, stronger, straighter posture, louder voice. Her attorney confirmed it. She feels validated. She's finally being heard. Legal experts say Diddy's outburst may have tanked his entire case. Jury consultant Sarah Matthews told me, jurors believe what they see. That meltdown? That's unforgettable. Another analyst said jurors were physically leaning away from Diddy after the incident. Outside the courtroom, Diddy's empire is cracking. Shares of Revolt Media dropped 14%. 3 brands have paused liquor deals. His talent agency has placed his representation under review. Industry insiders estimate losses could hit $200 million, even if he wins the case. The power dynamic is shattered. Diddy, once untouchable, now sits in court watching everything he built collapse. Cassie, once afraid to speak out, stands taller by the day, now flanked by allies like 50 Cent. Nobody saw this flip coming, and 50's strategic move. It turned what should have been a quiet courtroom battle into a full-blown reckoning. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about an industry that protected powerful men for too long and a silence that's finally breaking.